And I'm pretty excited about today because I get to be my true Irish self. I don't have to put on a fake American accent so people can understand me because I'm here with Claudia Rickard, the English hypnotist.
Correct.
Nice to have
Yes.
you, Claudia.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So I think everybody wants to know, and me personally, how does a hypnotist from England end up in North Carolina?
Okay, well, first of all, you need to know America is my happy place. We've always had the best vacations here, and I absolutely love it because when I was little, I lived in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
I did first grade, second grade, third grade, and I was really good at playing. Okay. We had a lake at the bottom of our garden, and we would go fishing and we would go rowing. And the first fish I ever caught was a catfish. I was 6 years old.
Did you peel it yourself? Did you skin it?
No, I didn't do that. But we did used to go to Atlantic Beach in North Carolina for our holidays, vacations. And we would go catching flounder.
Yeah.
And I did watch them being skinned. Okay. And then we'd eat them. And we would get buckets of shrimp and oh my gosh, I absolutely loved it. I had the best time swimming in the ocean. As I say, America is my happy place.
So was it your parents that brought you over? I mean, how did you first come to America then? Because your husband's from England as well,
Yeah,
right?
my husband's from England as well. Okay, so my dad worked for the RAF and he worked for NATO.
Yeah.
So he was over here on a tour.
Gotcha.
And and sadly we had to go back. And then when I went straight back into boarding school, I was 9 years old. Okay, straight back into boarding school.
So you got a taste of America, but then you had to go back to England again.
I know, and then I had to wear school uniform.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
And no boys, and I was like, where are the boys? I really couldn't figure it out. And then it was like, so I'd read the Mallory Tower books, and so I thought, oh, okay, boarding school's going to be fine. It was going to be all fun and midnight
like Harry
feasts.
Potter, Hogwarts.
Yeah, midnight feasts, and it was going to be fun, and I didn't cry the first night, and then afterwards I just thought I did cry the second night, and because I just wanted to go home. Then I was like, I'd done it. Yeah. I've done boarding school now. Can I go? No.
So you got a taste for America, and then once they kind of bring you back to where you grew up, even though you loved it and that's where you spent childhood, right? You got a taste of somewhere else. Like I need to get back there.
Yeah, because it was my happy place.
Yeah.
And I always knew that actually that is me. That is my essence.
Yeah.
So I always promised myself I would come back
someday.
And live here someday.
So at 9 years old, you're already forward thinking that someday I'm going to work towards that goal of getting back to America.
Yeah, I told my mum actually. I said I'm going to marry a man in the forces so that I can move back to, so I can come back to America. Yeah. Funnily enough, my husband he's Royal Navy, but it wasn't that.
So you didn't do the typical thing where you marry an American to get the ticket over back to America again.
I know. I ought to have done that. That would have been a lot easier.
A lot of people think that's what I did. They think that that's how I ended up in America, but my wife, was born in Belfast, same as I was, but her mom was born in Brooklyn, back, obviously decades ago, but went right back to Ireland again, and that's where she had my wife Charlene. So she grew up in Ireland, but had dual nationality. So she had an American passport.
Oh, I see.
So that was our ticket to kind of to try it out and do it. Yeah.
No, it's pretty hard for us to be here. I don't mind saying. Yeah, we're here on an E2 visa. It's not easy. See, but that's another story, and that's all different.
So it's funny. I'm the only one on the green card. Like all the Charlene's got an American passport. The kids are American citizenships. I'm the only one that's still kind of holding on to the citizenship. Yeah, I've got to do it at some point. I'm sure I will, but
I would in a heartbeat. I tell you, you know. But it's hard for us.
I got a great green card story. So
go on.
I was telling you earlier on, we vacation a lot, right? We do a lot of vacation. So we booked an 8-day cruise out of Port Canaveral, Florida, right? So we head down and we stay one night in Savannah, and the next day we were hauling ass to get to the cruise. I mean, we're late, right? We're always late for everything. And we get down to the cruise, and we're so late that we pull into the parking deck, and the only spaces is at the very top, right? Open air, so that's where we parked the truck. We rush over to the gate, and my wife pulls all the passports out, and she looks at me and goes, "Hey, we need your green card."
Oh,
and I don't have the green card. You have the green card? And she says, "No, you always have the green card." And needless to say, I didn't have it. So the lady was like, "Well, either the family gets on, and Mark, you have to do something. You have to go find your green card, meet up with the ship." It left on a Friday, and the first stop was Aruba on Monday. So of course we had to say our goodbyes. We're all crying in the lobby. The kids and shouting, "Get on the boat!" And I'm walking back out, right? And I walked up to my truck to the top deck, and the boat's just sailing off. Tropical
that is
music.
so sad.
It was so hard, right? So I had to jump back in the truck and drive all the way back to North Carolina Friday night. I searched all weekend for the damn green card. I couldn't find it. Sharding was ready to jump off in Aruba and come to Florida, and we meet him down there. I was like, what would someone do if they lost a green card or a passport, in Europe or traveling? There's got to be something, right? So Monday morning, I went up to the embassy. They stamped the passport. I flew to Fort Lauderdale, cab to Miami, flew to Aruba, got in at 9:45 on Monday night, and the ship sailed with me on it at 10:15. So I saw out the rest of the cruise.
Gosh.
I think the 8 day turned into 5 days, but their faces when I joined them on that cruise was just priceless.
Oh yeah,
so that's my vacation story for you.
Oh yeah, but that's not like a Chevy Chase one. That's not like a Christmas vacation.
Nah.
That's like a nightmare one. So yes, so you need to get your citizenship.
I know. That's the point.
I mean,
right?
you have to.
I know.
Because that it just can't happen again.
I will.
Did you ever find your green card?
No.
Oh my
so they issued another one, so I got a new one. I'm on the new one, but no.
Oh my gosh, it ran away. Okay, the card that got away.
The card that got away. I mean, I bet you when we move at some point and we're moving all furniture and clothes into boxes, the green card's just going to pop out, and it's like, you're the reason.
I know, but I mean, I think it's quite funny that you have an Irishman who was brought up in Belfast and radiators and heaters, and you end up in
air conditioning.
HVAC. I mean, it's just like,
I know.
We don't have that in England.
I know.
So how does that happen?
It's funny. So when we were leaving Ireland, me, my wife, and my daughter packed a suitcase each, and we had arranged to stay with her grandparents in Florida. We figured we'd do something. I don't care what I'm working as. I'm going to America. That's the exciting part. But I had no job, and she didn't have a job to go to either. But her grandfather knew a guy that owned an air filter company in Florida, and he was getting older. He needed help. So day 2, we get to Florida, Boynton Beach, and I go to interview this guy, and it's in a diner. I'll never forget it. Coral Springs, Florida. I meet this guy in a diner for breakfast, and he wants to hire me, but he's looking at me across the table. He said, "Mark, you got to carry a ladder on this job. Like, can you carry a ladder?" I was like, I'm a skinny, tiny Irish guy. I still haven't got much bigger, and then he said, "Can you climb a ladder?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, I couldn't, never done it before in my life. I was working in the civil service on a desk, but I got the job. And 6 months later, I moved up to Raleigh and started with another air conditioning company. And that's my path of air conditioning, air filtration.
It
was my first job, and it's hopefully going to be my last one.
Good for you. Good for you. Excellent.
So what about you? So let me back up a bit. So you obviously didn't do hypnosis at 9 years old, but eventually, when you got into it in England, you come to America, and you're bringing the world of hypnosis.
And actually it is funny because boarding school was the start of it, really. I was one of the people, as you can imagine, girls can be pretty mean. I actually was one of those that was friends with everybody. Okay, I got on with everybody, and I was also always the one who had to tell the other ones if they smelt and if they hadn't got washed, or because there were, sometimes girls can be a little bit stinky when they're going through puberty. So it was always my job because I could say it nicely. All right. And
it's so funny. I'll double back because
I've
had to give that same story, but go ahead.
So, and I was also one of those that would help them in the middle of the night if they were sick. Okay, I would be mopping their brow, clearing the sick up, getting the matron, and doing various things like that. And so, I was just always one of those. And then I went to actually the London College of Fashion. I did beauty therapy first of all, actually. And then I got really into massage. I'm an aromatherapist. When you're an aromatherapist, you see people naked, and you have to build rapport pretty damn quickly, and people have to
make
like
them comfortable. That they're basically stripping down in front of you, but you've also got to keep.
And you've got to touch them. You're touching their naked body, and they have to trust you and like you. Okay, so you make people feel safe.
Well, we're keeping all our clothes on today, right?
Yes. this is a full clothed podcast. So I so yeah, moving forward, I then am doing the aromatherapy, and I'm like using the oils to help people.
Yeah.
And then I got into counselling, actually, because I thought, well, let me take this a stage further. And I did that for a few years. And then I actually had to stop with my degree as I was training with that, because I actually then realised, why am I doing this? Because I was in not a very nice marriage. Okay, I've got to be careful who's watching this. So, so I figured out, I've got a choice.
Yeah.
I don't have to be in this marriage.
Yep.
That was a huge word for me, choice.
Yeah.
And again, that brings us actually we have a choice where we live.
Sure.
Because if we do what we've always done, we will get what we've always got.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that goes for everybody. So we move on. I've gone through the divorce. It's still there. I've got to help people. I'm doing the aromatherapy
so you always had that
again.
kind of helping nature about you?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
And I did. I started studying hypnosis. I absolutely loved it because the change work is so much quicker than just talk therapy.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you're getting into that other side of the brain, okay? Not just the conscious bit, not just the left side of the brain, the creative side that holds all the dreams, memories,
I'm getting
and
hypnotized
habits.
right now.
And so that's...
This is why we're recording it. Okay. So if you make me do anything silly during the meeting, I got evidence.
Well, I could do something. I won't be turning you into a frog today. That's fine. But you can if you want to.
It's funny though, because I actually had been given the same kind of role in the past, and I know it's because you've got that nature about you where you can deliver messages in a nice way. But I'll never forget one of the people I work with. Nobody wanted to work with them because they just gave off this real stink, you know. And I'm, trying to muster up, how do I tell them that? That's such a deflating thing to have to go tell someone, hey, you stink, you gotta put some deodorant on or something, I'll never forget it. The only way I could think of doing it was to bring what I use with me. Like I bought one of what I use, and I end up sitting down, I'm talking to him and said, listen, we've got to present ourselves well in front of the customer. When we're working, we're sweating, you start giving off a little bit of an aroma that they don't want to smell. Here's what I use,
That's brilliant.
And hopefully that they took it and,
And did he?
I think so, yeah. We got less complaints after.
Okay, well, great. So actually, and it's true, because you're right, people might go, well, how did you do that with a teenager? Yeah. So actually what I did with this girl was I just went in and I just said, are you okay? And because she had greasy hair and she stank to high heaven, and she was a very hard worker. Yeah. And I said, are you okay? Because we were doing our A-levels. And she, which is like for high school exams.
Like yeah.
And she said, and she actually burst out crying. And she said, no, I am so stressed out. My parents are saying I've got to get A's, A stars. I've got to get into this university, and I've got to. And I just went, oh,
so there was a lot going on that people weren't seeing on the surface, internally.
There's always something going on for people. Yeah. So actually, again, I invite everybody, always be kind. Yeah. Because we never know what's going on for them. And I just said, oh my gosh, I said, that's awful. Because I wasn't under that pressure. Sure. I guess my parents just do your best, sweetheart.
Like, as long as we could seize, we'll be fair.
We're really pleased you're at boarding school, actually. Just do your best. So we don't have to look after you.
And that's funny, like I keep, when we talk about our school years and, with my wife, who was really smart, she went to St. Dominic's, the smart school in Belfast. And I thought I was great. I got 2 B's and 5 C's. That's my claim to fame, that I was the second highest in my year that graduated with 2 B's and 5 C's. And my wife's like, that's not really great grades. Like, I was like, well, for my school it was, I went to a school that wasn't,
I got grades.
Yeah, exactly.
I got them.
Anything over a D was considered well.
And it's true, actually, the grade system is very different in England. Yeah. Because a C is actually quite a half decent pass. I mean, yes, obviously we want B's and A's, but actually kids here, even if they get a B, that for some they consider that as a fail.
There's a lot more pressure over here. Like I've got 3 kids. My eldest daughter just turned 21. My son's 15 and my daughter's 10. And there's a lot of pressure on them to just do really well to get the GPA, to get into the college that they want to get into.
I see a lot of children having meltdowns.
And we just didn't think of it like that back home. I just don't think there was that much pressure on us to, one, go to college, but two, to have to hit that level that you'll even make it into college, because some of them wouldn't accept you. I think back home it was easier to get into.
Yeah, and the expectations, all that breeds is disappointments.
Yeah.
And some of the children, they actually put that on themselves, and they go into this awful place of this downward triangle, which is anger, fear, and guilt.
Yeah.
And they live in that. And my job is to help them get back into balance and harmony.
So you did say you're working with a lot of children.
I see a lot of children. Yes, I'm the creator of the Bunny Talk process.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about that.
So it's an anchoring technique, actually, that I developed with my daughter when she was little. Okay, so my husband was forces, and he was in the Royal Navy, and he was away for like 10 months at a time. So she would get into bed with me and we'd mess about in the mornings. And do you remember Shadow Puppets?
Yeah, the shapes on the wall.
Yeah.
I should have got a light up here.
We could have been back here. We got our little bunnies here. So, and I'd go, hello, and she'd go, hello. When we started doing that, we did the days of the week, the months of the year, simple maths, and it was...
See, you're a lot nicer than me. Mine was like the angry kind of dragon or something. Go to bed.
You had a monster. So, well, it's trying to play with a child and teach them simple things. It can be difficult. It wasn't with the bunny, because it wasn't me doing it. It was the bunny.
Yeah.
And we did that for years. And then we come to America, of course, and she is nearly 13. We move in 2019, and then 2020, there's the dreaded COVID.
Yeah.
2 years here, no school.
Yep.
No friends, no...
So she had just came over just before that all started?
Yeah, it was just awful for her. So she didn't even do the first year at high school. And then they were all online in hoodies with their things off, and half of them were in bed. There was no communication going on. And when she got to 15, and she comes through to my room one night, it's New Year's Eve, sobbing her eyes out, absolutely sobbing. It was a horrible sob. And I got into bed with her, held her, and I said, can you tell me what it is?
Yeah.
She wouldn't tell me. And then don't ask me what made me do it. I got my mummy bunny out.
And she's what age at this point?
15.
Yeah.
And she got a baby bunny out with the little ears down.
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't realised that all that time ago, we had been anchoring in safety, love, and security, unconditional love.
So her with the bunny ears down was kind of a symbol to... That she was sad, and that was her way to communicate.
And she told Mummy Bunny what had been going on for her and what it was.
Yeah.
And of course, through play, because we'd always played, Mummy Bunny never scolded. Mummy Bunny listened, and we figured out what we would do. And it was all 3 o'clock in the morning, and by 5 o'clock in the morning, she said to me, "I'm okay now. You can go." So it was like,
That's
okay.
Interesting. So that led you now to have that where you're actually using that in your hypnosis?
Yes.
And then you got a book as well?
I have. It's called A Parent's Journey and the Bunny Talk Process. So it has that in for parents so that they can now anchor that in with their children while they are little.
Yeah.
Because you never know when you will need that communication skill when they are older. And it was so important. And then the actual book itself is best practice when there's a divorce for children, best practice as a step parent for the child. And it gives a lot of grace to parents. Because parents need a lot of grace because they always can do a lot of guilt themselves.
Yeah.
And then...
It's tough, I think we just got it so easy with my eldest daughter because she was so good. And the neighbors in the neighborhood were like, what's your secret, guys? Like, how did you do that? And we're like, well, I don't know. We don't have the secret recipe because then the next ones come up and they're not cookie cutter like the first one. It's like, okay, we're not perfect. We got challenges just like every other parent does.
Yeah.
And they're different personalities, so it's really hard you can't just use one wand with the all three of them. You've got to. And people
say you've got to treat each child the same.
Yeah, it's impossible. Yeah.
Yet, actually, how can you when they are all
different personalities
differently? So actually, no. And then there's sibling rivalry, and then there's comparing and contrasting, and oh my goodness, it is a minefield.
It's the toughest job. I mean, when we first moved over, obviously our goal was to both get work enough to stay in America, and we did. We both got jobs, but eventually, when we started having more kids, we're like, all right, the best structure that we can do is for my wife to stay at home and raise the kids, and then I just have to do more to provide, to work, and I always call it the hustle, but it was you had to do more jobs to make sure that, hey, I want to keep this structure. I want my wife to be able to be there in the morning when the kids go out to school, to be there for them when they come home, and she had a lot of aspirations wanting to go into dentistry, and in fact, she just did it in the last couple of years.
Brilliant, yeah.
But it took us to get past that phase of where the kids are at an age where, like, not that they left the nest or anything, but they're old enough where you feel okay about going back and doing something for yourself again. So
yeah, and that was the same with me. I looked after the children. I mean, I was always able to do aromatherapy at home, and I was always able to do that and the hypnosis at home, and I still do. So I'm there. However, now I am actually traveling more because I'm speaking at conferences. I'm now a speaker, training the bunny talk process, which when I'm actually training that to therapists now and hypnotists and practitioners, coaches who work with children, it's actually the emotional intelligence behind it, because it's the bit that how to work with the parents, and it's a framework. It gives people a framework of what to do in a session, because that is a part of it. However, it's not just it, because then I do certain eye movements to help those significant emotional events and feelings. I've just seen a child today, and it's one session. Children do not need to be in therapy for years and years, and children, in my opinion, do not need to be on all these drugs.
That's probably what differentiates you from the typical, like, counseling, because that's fearful for parents. Like, when I start this, we're in it for the long haul. Like, my kid's always going to have to go to counseling, and that's a fear that they have, because we had that, back when we had troubles with my son. I was like, do we need to put him in counseling? And we just kept pulling back on, I just don't want to be that person who, their kids in counseling for the next 5 years of their life. So the fact that they can maybe get in and get what they need and get back out again, maybe more reassuring to some parents that your process and method is different from counseling,
and it's all through play. And the parent can be there. And I'll share this with you. In my opinion, so counselling has its place. It most definitely does, because some people can talk themselves out of it and they get bored of it. They've said it so many times and they don't feel that thing anymore. And that can take years. In my opinion, though, sometimes people will tell a story, and then because they want somebody to like them and feel sorry for them, because it is a human trait, they start to distort the story. They will add to it. They might delete certain pieces. And then that actually becomes their new belief system. And then, is that thing that happened to them real or imagined?
So their story changes so much, and they start believing the news truth. Well, not truth, but their new truth.
Their new perception of that particular thing, which actually isn't always so. It doesn't matter, though, because they now have it as a belief and a feeling. So I am still unraveling a lot of people's new belief systems. They hypnotize themselves into this belief system. If you like, I de-hypnotize people from that through a lot of work, because I don't necessarily hear the story. If the body can feel it, then you can deal with it and heal it, if you like.
So let me ask you a story, or a question. And maybe for America it's not typical, because they maybe don't see these shows like we would have seen back in Ireland, the UK. But I'll never forget, we used to go, my parents used to bring us on vacation every year, holidays, right? And we go somewhere like Spain or Santa Ponds or whatever, and there was always a show on, right? The hypnotist.
Oh, a stage hypnosis
show where, they'd pull up people from the crowd, and they'd all get in the line on chairs, and they would hypnotize them and then make them do stuff. And you could always tell, all right, that's not working on them. And then he says, okay.
And he takes them back out.
Yeah, it takes them back, because they weren't all in on it, or they were doing it for a joke. But the people that just really fell into it and let themselves, be hypnotized. I mean, he was able to get them to do some crazy stuff.
I can get people. So sometimes I use people to speak to me through their fingers. And I can do, simple, I can do lots of things. So
Yeah.
like a simple arm lock on somebody's hand stays like that. I can stick your hand to the chair. I can do stage hypnosis. I don't, because I am more clinical.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind it because it would just be so much fun. And I go up on stage,
Yeah,
because I go to these conferences and there's always a stage hypnosis show. And I am very easy to go into hypnosis. My husband went up on a show.
Did he really?
And he had a baby.
So hold on,
It's
back it up.
brilliant.
So when you see your husband go up at a show and he's hypnotized and they're making him do whatever they want him to do, was that the moment? Like, I want to be a hypnotist.
No, I was.
I want to be able to tell him what I need him to do. Hypnotize.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. I get a lot of people saying to me, "Can you hypnotize my husband to stop snoring?"
Yeah.
And I go, "No, but I can hypnotize you."
Yeah.
To
not care about your snoring.
Yes, to not care about it. Mm-hmm. It only works if they love their husband.
Now, would it work if? Well, I guess it wouldn't. I was going to say it would work if the husband got all in on it and he was prepared to go and say, "Hey, I want to change my snoring."
Well, it might do, but actually, it's probably more. He probably has some kind of adenoid
So it's not
issue
a mind thing that you can change. It's a physical.
No, it's a physical thing.
Yeah.
So we have to get them to actually appreciate the sound of the snoring. Mm-hmm. I love my husband so much, and I'm so lucky that I have him next to me.
Yeah.
And with every snoring sound, I can go deeper and deeper into my own sleep and feel safe and calm.
So you can maybe twist it on its back and go, "Hey, instead of this being a noise that I'm frustrated with, it could be a noise like the ocean, where it becomes a soothing noise. It helps you sleep."
Yeah, it helps you sleep.
So what's the most common thing that people would go for hypnosis to change? Is it the smoking, the drinking, those kind of stuff?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely the smoking.
Because that is a mental thing. I mean, I know physically you're grabbing and you're smoking, but it's the brain constantly saying that
it's a habit.
I need this,
Some people think it's an addiction. I personally believe it is a habit. Mm-hmm. And the same with actually anything. I generally don't necessarily like working with people who drink a lot.
Yeah.
However,
because there's no saving them, is that it?
Well, no, because they lie.
Yeah.
And same with people who take drugs, they lie.
We all lie, but like, do you ever see when you go to the doctors for your checkups and like, how much do you drink a week? Is it like a 6-pack of beer? I was like, what? 6-pack maybe every Friday and Saturday night,
Cheers.
Yeah.
If I
fudge the truth a little bit
so
for the
actually,
doctor.
what I say to them is, okay, I say, if your family's life, so I've got to find out they love their family first of all. If your family's life,
they want to change.
If your family's life depended on it, or say just they've got one child, if your family, your child's life depended on it, could you stop smoking?
Yeah.
Or could you stop drinking? And I'm watching them. This is why I do like to have certain things, or always like a Zoom call before I even see them. Or hear them on the phone. And if I get, oh yes, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then I'll go, I'll work with you. If I get a, I hope so.
Yeah.
I go, tell me.
You got to see a bit of that they want to.
I go, when you're ready.
Yeah. It's almost like, if someone got some critical health news, like, hey, you've got cancer, you've got to stop smoking. Would they do it? Would they stop smoking because they know they have to because of the medical condition? So when you're presenting that question to them when they're healthy, it's tricking their mind to think, well, what if you weren't? What if you had to make the call tomorrow to stop smoking? Could you do it?
What's their motivation? Yeah. And if the motivation isn't right up there, because actually if they really wanted to stop, they'd have stopped already.
Yeah.
It's the same with like people wanting to drop weight off.
Yeah.
You've
got to want to do it.
Yeah, you've got to get to that point where it's painful.
Yeah. You've
got to reach that pain threshold ready for change. So my clients generally who I see are literally here and ready for change.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't really want to.
They're a hard client, and it's really not going to get the results that they want and you want.
And then the hard work.
Yeah.
So
you glad you're doing this in America versus back in the UK?
Yes, absolutely. And I tell you, the easiest thing to do here, and I think you feel the same way, is that when we go networking, oh my gosh, people are so friendly and they embrace us and they're interested and they talk to us and they do not look down their noses at us. They lift us up.
It's a big group of people that are all small business owners, entrepreneurs. They're all struggling with the same things and they all want to succeed. So they're kind of sharing and absorbing stuff that you're giving them too. It's just it's a great environment to be in. You know, it kind of helps everyone thrive, and I love it. You know, I've done it for many years since I've been here in America.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Nobody thinks they're better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Just because they did this or went to this university or
Yeah.
or have this degree or whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
We're in this together, and it's what can we do to support you?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without some help from the groups that I've been in. You know, whether it's networking or it's business-minded round tables that I'm involved with, where it's just people have either done it before or they've just got good ideas to bounce things off, and then you're able to take it away and go, you know what, I need to introduce that in my business. It's working for him. You know, my business is going well, but it could be better. And some of those changes that I've done recently in the last couple of years, I mean, it's been life-changing for the business and me personally.
Yeah.
You know, one small thing was just realizing that the operations are running well enough that I don't need to be the first one into the office every morning and the last one to leave. You know, one, I've got a family. My kids are only going to be at the home for so many years. My daughter, who's 21, is only there for, you know, who knows how long, but it got me thinking I just need to spend more time at home, and I can. So I'm now 4-day work week. I don't work Fridays. I'll do something on Friday, whether it's, you know, meeting with another business owner, it could be on a golf course, or it could be for breakfast, but it also allows us to have long weekends together.
So you've got good life balance?
Yeah, absolutely. And it took me a long time to get to that point, don't get me wrong, because, you know, one of the biggest stories I have was the hustle in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like for the first 10, 15 years of me being in America, I mean, it was hard. I was working Monday through Friday, day job, you know, in air conditioning out in the truck. And then I was doing night class because I wanted to learn the trade. And then I was DJing, you know, obviously I DJ too. I was DJing on a Thursday night, getting up to work on a Friday morning. I was then DJing on a Friday night, getting up Saturday morning to coach my son's soccer and my daughter's soccer. And then I'd go home, go to sleep, and go DJ a wedding. I mean, that went on for years just because, one, it was the hustle. I knew I wanted to make money. I wanted to provide for the family. But it was hard, you know.
Yeah.
Looking back, it was hard, but it's kind of made me the person that I am.
Worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do. I love America, and do you know what I really like? It's the blue sky.
I know. I know. It's funny. People ask me all the time, like, "Why did you leave Ireland? It's beautiful." I was like, "Yeah, it's beautiful. You know, it's green, but it's green for a reason, right? It rains a lot. It's like cloudy and drizzly a lot. Yeah. I mean, I miss it so much, but the sunshine and the heat and the weather here, it changes your whole persona."
Well, my
bones it's like we're plants. We need the sun to thrive, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Yorkshire, okay? Yeah. So it's like you get bone cold.
Yeah.
Okay? And it takes forever.
It's a wet cold.
Yeah, it is. It's wet, damp.
Yeah.
And you're like, literally, you are freezing inside.
Yeah.
And here, it's like, even you just look outside and if there's blue skies, and there often is blue sky.
We're actually, I told you, we fly to Scotland tomorrow for a week, and we're not prepared for the weather. Like my sister-in-law is telling us, like, you know, you need to come prepared for this because it's really cold, you know. Mm-hmm. And we've had cold days here recently, but it's nothing like what we're about to face.
No, because it's like it move on a couple of hours and then it's warm again.
Yeah.
So there it's like the whole day and the night and the stone and the beds are cold and it's like, you know, and the cups and the plates and the crockery, everything.
It's not like here, like back to the air conditioning story. It's not like you can just go hit a little button on the wall and go, yeah, I'm too cold. Bring me a lot of heat, you know, and come from the sky so I can get cozy.
No.
In Ireland, it's literally turning on radiators, waiting for them to heat up, you know, or you just have to constantly have the house like an oven because the radiators
take forever to crank up. I mean, and literally the noises they make.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if you had this back in the day, but when me and my wife first moved in our first place, it was a coal fire, and that dictated whether the water was warm. So you had to have the fire going all the time for it to radiate the radiators and, you know, to give you hot water. Like if you ever let that fire go out, you were screwed the next day. You wake up and you're having a cold shower, you're washing your face with cold water.
Yeah, and you just wouldn't get washed.
It was miserable. You know?
But they must have that up here in the north of America.
So, yeah. So what's next for Claudia and the
I'm actually going to Ireland.
Process? Are you really?
Yeah, I'm going to be training it in Dublin.
Nice.
There's a conference there, and I'm going to be speaking and training on it in Ireland. So it is for people who already work with children, and then you actually can work with the teenagers as well, because
Yep.
you can change the process out. What I've found out though is that this process, because I've been actually demonstrating it on adults when I've been speaking on it at these conferences, it's actually for inner child work as well. So if somebody has issues from their past, from when they were a child, the whole process of how I work, I'm not going to explain it all. It actually works with that as well, and the results I've had have been phenomenal. Because when I work with a child, we're on the floor. Because what we do with children, we play on the floor.
Exactly.
And so I am with the adult again on the floor. And
Does your husband know that?
Oh God, we're fully clothed, and it is quite interesting, because I had someone the other day and they said, "Oh, can we sit back up?" And so we did, and we carried on. They went, "Oh no, can we get back down on the floor again?" Because it wasn't congruent, because we were dealing with their child.
So you should have told me about that. We could have done the whole interview on the floor.
Oh well, there you go. It would have been so much more fun.
So we're in Dublin. What's the date? Where's it at? Anyone that might be home?
4th, 5th. And it's the conference, and I don't actually know.
And this is December, right?
No, it's April.
Okay, gotcha.
It's in April.
Gotcha.
And I will be training the bunny talk process on the Monday and the Tuesday.
What about the book then? Where can people find your book?
Oh, on Amazon. It is. Yeah, you will have to download the free Kindle app.
Yeah.
And my book is $2.99. Okay, it is short and snappy. I could have made it a big thick book.
Yeah.
Parents do not have time to read. They want it now. They tell me, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
It's all in there. It's like, it will take you 20 minutes to read it.
Now, did you do an audio version of it?
No, but I could.
You should. I think people would love hearing your accent talking, doing the audio. Because that's one of my faults. I don't read like I should. I don't read books, but I've done a lot of audio listening. So when anyone recommends a book, I'm like, I'll listen to that when I'm traveling or I'm going on vacation with the kids and they're all killing each other in the backseat.
Oh, well, I could
I think that would be great.
I could. Because then that would make it even easier to access. Because it's just quick and simple, and I know it's helped a lot of my clients with their children, because they do say to me, "I don't know how to play, I don't know what to do," and it's it's tough, and I shout at my child and this, and I go, "I get it. I used to as well. I used to be." I used to literally feel myself turning into a monster. So between us, we have 5 children. My 2 sons, they were really naughty boys. They used to have milk fights.
What, like throw milk at each other?
Yeah.
Jeez, okay. And all the things to pick,
I know, and we have carpets, okay? And it was just that, and I remember being heavily pregnant with my daughter, and the husband away in Iraq, and there I was, they were having, and I remember just thinking, and I'd be literally just going, "Will you stop it? Will you stop?" And screaming at them to stop. And I would have Braxton Hicks with my daughter, and it would just be like, "Oh my gosh," they were little.
What age are they now?
30 and 26.
So they've grown past it.
Yeah, 29.
Hopefully they've matured at this point.
Yeah, they probably still do that.
Yeah, we're still hoping for ours to cross over that. Listen, Claudia, it was a pleasure sitting and chatting with you. Hopefully,
thank you for inviting me.
Hearing some of our stories. It's always about sharing the journey, and I think me and you got a pretty cool one.
Yeah, we have. Thank you.
Nice.